Hey guys, it's me Mr. 250 and welcome back to Umineko. And as people have said before, new girl. I don't know who she is, but apparently everyone seems to like her. I used the word chibi last time. That was not the word I was meaning to use, as many people pointed out. They're like, oh, he doesn't know what chibi means. I do. I just used the wrong word. I meant lolly. That's the word I was looking for. So, thank you all for your consideration of my terrible Japanese understanding. I'm also quite enjoying this music. Another strings piece, which once again, I really, really like strings pieces. And I think we will get right into it now that I've rambled on about randomness for almost a minute now. So, the guest had Shannon and Kumasawa following by her side. And though she looked at the large amount of relatives waiting for her in the parlor, she didn't seem overawed in the slightest. Just waiting for her to rip off her girlish face mask to reveal that it is in fact the daughter, or no, the son, sorry, and he's come for revenge. Just the single point showed that this girl possessed a dignity appropriate for a guest invited in by the Ushiramiya family.
ご紹介申し上げます。後宮家当主代行、後宮クラウスにございます。
ようこそ六軒島へ。事故でいらしたとはいえ、あなたは当家の客人だ。歓迎しますよ。どうぞ当家おしばしの間、ご自宅と思い、存分にくつろがれてください。
ありがとうございます。自己紹介申し上げます。古戸エリカと申します。
Oh boy, a new character.
この度は後宮家の皆様をお騒がせしてしまい、誠に申し訳ございません。
Let's take a look at her. Oh boy, here comes. This is going to be fun for me to try to pronounce. I can get Erica. That's easy enough. Furudo Erica. Fell from the pleasure boat Eternal Maid 2, or the second, mid-cruise in the waters near Rokkenjima. On October 4th, 1986, she drifted to Rokkenjima. You picked a really, really bad day to crash land onto an island. I'm just saying. Like, out of all the days that you could have crash landed onto an island, this was not the day to do it. The Ushiramiya family welcomed her as a guest. She managed to drift to the island unharmed thanks to several miracles, including the life jacket she was wearing. And of course, I'm sure her arrival is going to throw the game into, to shake up the game, make it a whole lot more interesting. Because now they're probably going to suspect her since they don't know her.
招かれざる客人であるにもかかわらずの歓迎、心より感謝いたします。
She certainly has an air of eloquence around her, doesn't she? There's a general sigh of acceptance. The clothes she had been lent were probably Jessica's formal wear from long ago. But the composure of her introduction gave the impression of a dignity by no means inferior to the clothes she wore. The girl's name was Furudo Erica. Furudo? She looked slightly younger than Battler and Jessica, but her composure and mannerisms were beyond what anyone would have expected from a high schooler. Almost as though she was a well-to-do family's daughter.
ちょっと待て。こいつは何者だ?
Yeah, I know. You can't just throw in new people like that.
無能のあんたが主役駒じゃ、ゲームがさっぱり進まないもの。だから、私自身を駒として出させてもらう。
ま、ちょっとしたエキストラね。いくらクローズドサークルだからって、いつも同じ面々ばかりじゃ飽きるでしょ?
You're not wrong.
ふざけるな。ベアトのゲーム版には存在しない駒だ。俺もベアトも認めない。
ベアトのゲーム版でしょ? ベアトが拒否するってんなら考えてあげるわ。ベアトの意見は?
Beto was unable to answer. Lambda Delta grinned as though in triumph.
ルールにイチャモンつけてゲームを降りてみる? あんたら推理者の得意技じゃない。 自分の意に沿わない要素が一粒でもあったら、それを理由に感触を起こして思考停止を起こすのは。
安心なさい。このコマについては探偵宣言を出すわ。
探偵宣言。
フルドエリカは探偵であることを宣言するわ。探偵は犯人ではなく。
And of course, that falls in line with Nox's commandments, right?
その証明にはいかなる証拠も必要としない。早い話が、この子を一切疑う必要はないということよ。これなら人間の駒として登場してもいつもと変わらずに推理できるでしょ。
ノックス第7条ね。探偵が犯人であることを禁ず。原文には
Because that would make it too much fun.
今回は探偵は犯人でないと赤で宣言してるから、例外は考えなくていいわ。言葉遊びは嫌いだから、私も赤で言ってあげる。フルドエリカは犯人ではない。
副賞要求。フルドエリカはこれまでのベアとのゲームに影響を与えない。
いいわ、応じる。フルドエリカはこれまでのベアとのゲームに影響を与えない。あくまでも今回初登場のエキストラよ。これまでの世界には存在しないし、影響も与えないわ。
なら今の時点での在当者の人数はどうなるんだ。
もちろんこれまでの人数にプラス1してもらうわ。でも安心して、フルドエリカが1人増えただけ。それ以外の在当者の人数はこれまでのゲームと全く同じ。
At that time, the loud sound of people running through the corridor could be heard. It was Battler, George, and Jessica, who had come from the guest house after being called here by Eva. They immediately spotted a guest they didn't recognize, and their eyes went wide.
どちら様？
お客様、落ちる落ちるで来たの。
は？落ちる落ちる？
源氏さん、こちらの方は
Almost forgot about that, but then it's got brought up again.
お客様のフルドエリカ様でございます。フルド様、こちらは当家令嬢のジェシカ様、並びにいとこのジョージ様、バトラ様でございます。
よろしく。後ろ宮ジェシカです。
はじめまして、フルドエリカです。よろしくお願いいたします。
Though Battler, George, and Jessica didn't have a clue what was going on and were utterly bewildered, they each introduced themselves.
好都合じゃない。これで人数がはっきりするわ。ゲストハウスのバトラたちが合流し、今客間には金蔵以外のすべての駒が人間が揃って。
そうなるわね。つまり今この客間にいる人数が在当者すべての人数ってことになるわね。
18人いるはずの島が、じい様が実は死んでて17人になった。そこにベルンカステルの駒が1人追加され、
The number of humans on this island is returned to 18. I glanced around at the humans in the parlor. The guest, Furudo Erika, and behind her, Kumasawa-san and Shannon-chan. Off to the side was Genji-san. Across Oji-san and Natsui Oba-san were welcoming the guest. Goda-san immediately started showing off, and Canon-kun was being unsociable, wearing his usual blank expression. There was Dad and Kirie-san, Eva Oba-san and Hideyoshi Oji-san, Rosa Oba-san and Maria, and Dr. Nanjo. Then, on either side of me, were George Aniki, And Jessica. This is everyone. The true number of people on the island at the moment.
何しろ僕たちは全員後ろ宮だからね。気兼ねなく下の名前で呼んでほしいね。僕はジョージ。
俺はバトラだ。よろしくな。
ありがとうございます。ジョージさん、バトラさん。私のこともエリカと呼んでもらえると嬉しいです。
There we go. That's a word I can. That's a name I can pronounce easily enough.
よろしく、エリカさん。
It was decided that Erica would be welcomed like a guest, and allowed to borrow the bedroom next to the cousin's room on the second floor of the guest house. In front of all the relatives, she had seemed dignified and a bit stiff. However, as she talked with George and Jessica, her expression began to soften gradually. And so, the detective, Farito Erica, was placed on the game board. Another person who once again has a very Western-sounding name. At least for, the last name, anyway.
ジェシカの昔の服、あんなに似合うなんて思いませんでした。
熊沢が勝手にお嬢様の昔の服を使用してしまいました。お許しください。
The clothes Erica was wearing were Jessica's old formal attire. Though the guest possessed a dignity that would put many adults to shame, her body was still physically similar to a middle schooler's. Jessica's old clothes fit her perfectly.
いいえ、お客様にふさわしい身なりでしたよ。もし彼女が気に入るようでしたら、お近づきの印にプレゼントしても良いでしょう。
Otherwise, we'll force her to strip naked and then throw her back onto a boat where she can go back to the mainland.
かしこまりました。ありがとうございます。
警察やご家族には連絡しましたか？
はい。先方も大層ご心配なされていたようでした。
ところで。
And since the game hasn't begun yet, of course, all the phones are still working, I'm guessing.
客人は本当に事故でしょうね。
ご本人は寄港中のボートから転落したとおっしゃっております。
裏付けはありますか？
Conveniently enough.
海保に問い合わせて確認しました。プレジャーボートの後部から転落したそうで、他の乗員たちは気づかなかったようです。実際の転落地点は分かりませんが、おそらくはここの近海でしょう。
この悪天候に船遊びなど愚かなことです。
She's a middle schooler. What do you want her to do?
しかし、近海で溺れてこの島に漂着することは考えられるのですか？
Or at least I'm assuming she's a middle schooler. Like the age of not the the actual witch, but the age of her as a character.
ありえないことではありません。この辺りの島には大抵漂流民が流れ着いた伝承がございます。おそらく事故は真実ではないかと。この台風です。島のどこであろうとも船での接岸は不可能です。
Genji had already figured it out. Not so he probably suspected that this mysterious guest, who had arrived during the already high-stress family conference, might be the agent of someone's conspiracy. Therefore, Genji had already checked to make sure that the accident was real, that Furuto Erica was her real name, and that there was nothing suspicious going on.
わかりました。主人も丁重にもてなすようにと指示しています。粗相のないようになさい。ですが、分かっていますね。
はい。親族会議には一切近づけません。夕食後はゲストハウスへお引き取り願います。
客人をお父様に挨拶させろというような流れにもならないよう、よく注意するのですよ。
もちろんです。心得ております。
Oh, there's one person you haven't met yet. Let's get her to meet Kinzo. No, that's a bad idea. He's in a bad mood. No. This would be a great time. I mean, when is she gonna come back? No. He's really in a bad mood.
ほう、フルドエリカとな。この六軒島に来客とは珍しい。楽しませてくれそうではないか。
ベルンカステル教の駒でしょう。人間のルールに従うとはいえ、プレイヤーは魔女です。侮ることはできませんよ。
問題ない。
It's such a weird thing having this intermediate level of witches, you know, layered right underneath the meta world.
仮にベルンカステル教本人であろうとも、人間である以上、わらわたちの敵ではない。何しろガープもいる。人間はガープに絶対に勝てぬ。ありがとう。でも買いかぶりすぎは良くないわ。魔女の定義は魔法が使えることだけを意味したりはしない。
ですが、ジョーカーであり、台風の目である。それが魔女というもの。
この六軒島で魔女と名乗ってよいのはこのわらわ。黄金の魔女にして無限の魔女、ベアトリーチェのみである。ベルンカステル教名。エンジェの次なるコマがどの程度のものか、じっくりと観覧させてもらおうぞ。
So even this level beneath the meta world is still aware that Angie was a piece in one of the previous games? Oh, that's weird. Too many layers, just like ogres and onions. Too many layers. Erica's seat was the lowest one in rank. In other words, it was at the inferior end of the table. Since Kinzu's seat at the high end of the table was empty, if you turn the whole thing around, it sort of looked like Erica was the host of this dinner.
それでは皆様、本日の晩餐を始めさせていただきたいと思います。
After Goda's announcement, dinner began with the almost customary applause. It was finally the beginning of the dinner orchestra conducted by Toshiro Goda. Except for Cross's household, sitting at such a majestic dinner table was no everyday thing for these people by any means. However, they were all used to it, and acted as though this was completely normal. Again, if anyone was to be surprised, it should have been Erica. And yet she showed no surprise at this dinner, and acted with composure, blending in with everyone else. There wasn't even a sliver of the fear one might expect from someone who had wandered here like a lost puppy.
不思議な子ですね。後宮家の1年間で最も豪華な晩餐を前に何も取り乱さないとは。
最近の子は肝が据わってるわ。嫌いじゃないわ、そういうの。
フルドさんはこういう食事には慣れているのですか？大した落ち着きようだ。
ほんまやな。ずいぶん手慣れたもんや。わしなんかいまだに次はどのフォークを使えばいいか混乱するんやで。ああ、こっちやったか、それともこっちやったか。
Without showing any confusion over the line of utensils in front of her, Erica gracefully ate her hors d'oeuvres. Hideyoshi had started joking around with her, gripping a fork in each hand. Of course, the president of a company in the food service industry like Hideyoshi would obviously know his table manners. However, thinking that Erica must be nervous over this dinner, he had intentionally spoken with a comic tone of voice.
外側から順に使うだけですし、面倒だったらお箸を頼めばいいんです。日本人ならお箸です。お箸はいいですよ。これ一膳あればどんな料理でも対処できます。
Oh yes, I'm a human. Yes, absolutely. I love breathing air. As soon as she began talking about chopsticks, her eyes started glittering. The smile she now showed for the first time was far different from the dignity she had shown before, and more like something you'd expect from someone her age.
カレーライスはさすがにスプーンでしょ。
丼に盛ればいいんです。牛丼をスプーンで食べる人いますか？いませんよね。日本人なら断じて絶対鉄頭鉄尾お箸です。というわけでゴーダさん、すみませんがお箸をお願いします。私が日本人として恥ずかしくない食べ方をご覧に入れてみせましょう。ところで次のお料理は何ですか？
それが困ったことに、次はスープでございまして。
Good luck with your chopsticks now. She pretended to shrug. Erica winked at everyone. Of course, no one was laughing at her. She obviously knew that soup came after hors d'oeuvres and a full-course meal. Obviously. Furthermore, Erica had even noticed that she'd been performing too perfectly and creating a sense of tension, and that this was why Hideyoshi had tried to break the ice. That's why she started behaving a little childish and lighthearted, acting out the part of a guest enjoying a harmonious dinner. Pretty soon, not only Kyrie, but everyone else also caught on. Even though she was an uninvited guest, she was apparently worthy of participating in an Ushiramiya family dinner.
頭のいい子ね。本当にこの子、偶然の来客なの？実は今日の親族会議にこっそり呼んだ兄さんの隠し子じゃないの？
賢く場を和ますセンスもあるようだ。マナーも見事じゃないか。あんな子が娘だったら悪くはないね。
Guess what? You're being adopted.
それはひでえぜ。ジェシカちゃんの達成がなくならな。
ひどいわ、ルドルフ兄さん。
どうしたんだい、ジェシカちゃん。頭
I'm
痛が
trying to replace you, Jessica.
私の評価がずんずん下がってる気がするぜ。
こりゃ本家の令嬢として負けられねえだろ。お前も日頃夏日おばさんに仕込まれてるテーブルマナーと貫禄で対抗してみろよ。
見たい見たい、テーブルマナー見たい。
ほら、はしゃぐのはマナー違反だよ。さあさあ、ジェシカちゃん、お手本を見せてあげて。
おお、もちろんだぜ。
Jessica straightened up so much it looked like someone had poked her back with a pole. She had good posture, but it somehow lacked elegance. She looked, well, kind of like a triangle ruler. She sat at attention, with her gaze fixed straight ahead, trying to bring her food to her mouth despite this, and failed miserably. Dad, who was sitting next to her, suddenly realized that something was up.
ん？どうしたんだ、ジェシカちゃん。腹でも痛えのか？
Jessica turned bright red. Ah, sorry, I can't help myself. We laughed our heads off. Jessica protested, still bright red. Natsumi Oba-san scolded us for being too improper. Well, no matter how much you try to smooth it over, we are who we are. We couldn't act like we were anything else. Still, that laugh really did help us to relax. We were so concerned about the guests getting nervous that we had grown even more nervous ourselves. Our chatter from the center of this long table spread to both ends. And ultimately, the dinner went even more smoothly than usual. With some delicious cheese and coffee, our peaceful meal came to an end. Goto won unanimous acclaim and was praised for his skill by all present. After a short period of harmony following the meal, it was decided that we would return to the guest house. Normally, dinner tended to have a very dark atmosphere about it, and the adults would often move right onto the family conference from the same dark atmosphere. However, perhaps because this year's dinner had been oddly peaceful, everyone decided to take a break, the adults included. After eating, taking a bath, and relaxing while watching TV, I wonder if they'll gather again in the mansion in the middle of all this rain and resume their high-tension family conference. I'd rather not think about that. Apparently Eva Obasan got very worked up trying to convince the rest to start the family conference right away, but it didn't look like many people agreed with her. The meeting had probably come to a close for the night. Since they had guest house duty, Goda-san and Kumasawa-san were chosen to guide us up to the guest house. It must be tough for Goda-san. Even after making and cleaning up such an extravagant dinner, he also has the midnight shift at the guest house. I heard that Kumasawa-san, old as she was, would be going to sleep soon. It seemed that she was assigned a spare room in the guest house.
皆様をゲストハウスまでご案内させていただきます。エリカ様のお部屋もご用意できております。
ありがとうございます。
体調はどうです？具合が悪かったりはしませんか？
ああ、そうだよな。すっかり忘れてたけど、エリカちゃんは溺れてて流れ着いたんだよな。今日は無理しねえで、早く寝た方がいいだろうな。
全然平気です。それよりも緊張と興奮でむしろ寝つけないくらいです。
She seems to be taking this whole nearly drowning thing pretty well.
じゃあ遊ぼう。みんなで遊ぼう。トランプしよう。
Maria latched onto her, giggling. This lack of restraint particular to youth was very much like Maria. However, we really should be worrying about Erica's physical condition now.
マリア、トランプは私たちと一緒に遊ぼう。エリカお姉ちゃんは疲れてるんだってさ。
トランプも好きですよ。一息つきましたらぜひご一緒させてください。やったー。あれはどちら様ですか？
As she passed through the lobby of the entrance hall, Erica stopped walking. When we saw what she was looking at, the rest of us also stopped.
ああ、あちらは黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェ様でございますよ。
黄金の魔女。
何やってんだガキども。さっさとゲストハウスへ引き上げるぞ。
Dad, Kirie-san, and Eva Obasan, Hideyoshi Oji-san, and Rosa Obasan all came over. The guest house party had all gathered. However, Erica's gaze was captured by the portrait of the witch, and she simply stared at it for a while. It's been a while since we've had a good long look at this.